Good morning, guys. I'm back again and wishing you a fantastic day today. It's so much happening around us with all the corona stuff, but I really do just honestly wish you folks all the very best. Keep safe, do the best you can with the protocols, and I wish you a great day. We've been looking at the subject of anger. We've spoken about people implode, explode, and we're on a journey through a process that I think will probably help those who need some kind of guidance. Very simple, but I hope that this will work for you this week. We spoke yesterday about acknowledging the problem of anger. You can't fix what you don't acknowledge, and so the first thing we have to do is acknowledge this anger. We must stop excusing it. Excuses don't just cut it. We must stop making it less than it really is. We must acknowledge from the core of our being that this is not cool, the way that we respond to anger. Now, we all know that we all have a capacity for anger, just as God has a capacity for anger. And because we are made in the image of God, we too have a capacity to get angry. But the way that we address our anger is actually the key. And at the end of the day, you know what, people, like we said yesterday, it's not just a choice, but it's a test. God will test you on these things, and if you keep failing the test, you know what, like school, you don't graduate from grade 9 to grade 10 until you pass the test. So I hope that in the promptings that happen, in the things around you, in the challenges of life, see them as a test that is determined by whether you pass or fail, is determined by the choice that you choose to make. The third thing in our process of dealing with anger today is we have to ask ourselves, why are we angry in the first place? Anger is driven from something that is internal, something that is inside of us. Now, I've come up with two internal factors that if you violate any one of these things, you could find yourself leading to an angry situation. The first reason for anger is that it's an underlying violation of that which is valuable to me. There are your beliefs. There are the different expectations that you have. There are the very things that cause you to be who you are. And when people violate those things, whether they be good or bad at this particular point, it doesn't matter. It's going to make you mad. It's really going to make you mad. Remember, we've used often that analogy of the fruit and the root. Anger is just a fruit. It's just a fruit. And you can't just fix the fruit. The best way to fix the fruit is to fix the root. And one of the roots of anger is this violation of my values, of my beliefs, of my expectations. And when those are violated, it tends toward us becoming angry. And so we need to ask ourselves, is that the first thing? The second thing that causes us to be angry is it's an underlying violation because we always want to be in control. There's an underlying desire in the root of our being to be the master of my life and to be in control. Now, I don't know, the older I get, the more I realize how little control I actually have of the world around me. Like, who can control the economy? Who can control coronavirus? Who can control my boss? Who can control anything other than me? And I'm the only one that is meant to do self-control. Things out there, you're never going to be able to control them, people. My advice is don't try. But when they come into your life and they violate this desire to be in control, anger can evidence itself. Now, I look for an example of this in the scriptures, and I came up with the most profound one, and I know I'm treading on really holy ground here. But Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane was faced with a thing outside of his control. He knew why he was there. He knew why he was on this planet. He knew that he'd been sent on a mission, and the mission was to die. And in the Garden of Eden, he cries out to his Father. He says, Father, I'm angry with this situation. I cannot deal with this thing. Is there not another way in which we can save the world around us? I don't know what to do, but at the end of the day, Father, your will be done. Now, we've also said that the tone of voice that you say, your will be done, will determine what you mean about it. You get those who, you remember people playing cricket, you watch on TV, the guy gets a duck. And in the old days, when he walking off the field, a duck would walk across the TV, remember, and he'd be shaking his fist at the umpire. That's the what I'm talking about. Your will be done. It's called active rebellion, where we shake our fist in the face of God and say, this is not right, and I am really angry. The second way we evidence this kind of thy will be done is through passive resignation. Oh, all right. Okay, your will be done, and we just go into the sulky mode. The other one is a passive aggressive stance. Oh, all right, I suppose you're bigger than me, therefore I have to submit to you, your will be done. Or there are those who say thy will be done as an act of active or positive relaxation. It's these people, got to tell you people, you don't meet many of them, but they have come to terms with what we call the sovereignty of God. God is in control. And I can either fight with him over these things, or I can submit to him willingly. I remember some years back, before we came into the ministry and were called to this beautiful congregation, I used to have a little farm. And I loved the little farm. I don't think I was a very good farmer, but I loved the farm. And we went through that 91, 92, 93 drought. And at the end of the day, our little dream of everything we'd worked for and bought this little farm, we lost our farm in that drought. And I was angry. I thought, Lord, you sent us here. We believed that this was of you. And now look what's happened. We've lost our farm. And there was a passive aggressive, there was a active rebellion side of my anger toward God over what had happened. It was outside of my control. And I had to come to terms with the sovereignty of God. Let me tell you people, the best thing was this, that the worst thing that ever happens to me in losing the farm turned out a few years later for me to realize it was the best thing that ever happened to me. If I still had the farm, I'd still be cutting bananas and I'd still be doing my thing there, which is great, and it's the calling of many people, but God had something else for me. And I had to go through the anger of all the emotions that go with that before I could come to terms with the fact that God is in control and his will needs to be done. So when we are faced with these things that are angry about circumstances we have no control over, my suggestion is this: come to terms with the sovereignty of God. Get over it. Get over it quickly and recognize that right now, as I'm going through this thing, it's really hard. I don't want to belittle anybody's pain, but I have to tell you people, at the end of the day, we've got to learn to rely on God, who is sovereign. He is king, and he will have the final say. And what his final say is the best thing for me. So I hope that you find, if you're going through tough times today, make the most, embrace those tough times, and realize that the worst thing that ever happened to you may just be the best thing that happened to you, and you're only going to realize that in a couple of years' time. I love what I do. Man, I have the best job in the whole world. Nobody has a better job than me. I'm totally fulfilled in it. I love doing what I do. And so now I thank God for that which once caused me to be angry. I hope you can come to terms with that too. God bless you guys. Have a great day and go and save the world with us. Okay, cheers.